For nearly 3 weeks, the Kenyan security forces have surrounded this place. It's called Uhuru, meaning Freedom Park, and the ODM regards it as the focal point in its campaign for mass action. But its supporters didn't even reach these lines, nor did they reach the central business district just over there. Only a few kilometers away, the security forces clashed with demonstrators they had blocked from leaving slum districts to march on the city centre. In towns and cities across the country, ODM supporters had heeded the calls from their leaders to demonstrate peacefully. Whatever their intentions, any attempt at protest was met with force. And so often, those who suffered had nothing to do with the politics, nothing to do with any protest. This is Kibera, Kenya's slum city, set in the capital's suburbs. It sits uneasily alongside downtown Nairobi, where the middle classes have one thing in common with the majority of poor people in the slums. They want normality, stability back in their lives.
And as much as we are calling out for peace and normality, there's also justice to be seen. And I don't know if this is one avenue they're trying to use, well and good, but I think right now they should probably look for another option.
But as this man tries to continue his normal life, what other option is there for the ODM after a week like this? On Tuesday, the ODM claimed a victory when their speaker was elected in a tight vote, buoying up Raila Odinga, and a big blow for Mwai Kibaki. But despite this, the ODM decided to continue pressure with 3 days of street protests. The government made no allowances. It was firm. Many people died. Many businesses closed down. There was absolutely no movement politically. So here on day 3, what's changed? Well, the ODM is switching its tactics while the government remains resolute and firm. But Kenya is a different country now. Its economy, its stability, its people have been devastated. And reconciliation and recovery don't seem anywhere in sight right now. Andrew Simmons, Al Jazeera, Uhuru Park in Nairobi.
Now I'm joined by Peter Kenneth, the Assistant Finance Minister for the Kenyan government. Thank you very much for joining us. First of all, 9 Western governments, including Australia, Britain and Canada, issued a statement urging Kenya to stop killing unarmed civilians. What's your response?
I think what has happened is that the mass protests have also taken other dimensions. We've had massive looting, we've had massive ethnic cleansing, and I think the security forces have really restrained themselves. But as you'll appreciate, in certain times when you are trying to protect property, trying to protect lives, something of that magnitude does happen. It is not intentional, but the security forces have really restrained themselves. As you saw today, there were demonstrations in Nairobi, and the security forces were there trying to protect property and any further loss of human life.
But we also just saw footage from Kibera where protesters were throwing rocks at police and police were responding with bullets and tear gas. How do you justify that use of force on unarmed people?
I think if you saw what happened in Kibera, there has also been an attack on the security forces. You've also seen that the railway line has been, vandalized to the extent that some railway tracks that were going to Uganda were actually looted. And it is in protection of that kind of property and ensuring that smooth services do take place that this kind of thing happened. It is regrettable, but again, as I said, it is all in trying to protect further loss of property and human life.
Now, your specialism is finance. What do you make of the new opposition strategy of boycotting companies owned by government officials? Are you worried about the impact that'll have on the government?
Well, first of all, the companies that could be said to be owned by Kenyans who probably supported President Kibaki, most of them are stock listed and they are owned by Kenyans of diverse ethnicity. Therefore, you know, again, we are trying to make poor Kenyans suffer much more because they own shares, they get services from these companies. They have nothing to do with the election contest that is ongoing. This was an election contest that was very hotly contested. One person had to win, and that happens to be President Kibaki. That does not mean that laws should be broken. There must be a legal process in which one can make a protest.
Okay, so looking at the wider picture, we're not just looking at political unrest. There's also an economic crisis because overland transport to neighbouring countries has been disrupted. Many people have lost their businesses to looting and fires. There's been high unemployment. What is the government doing to contain the situation?
Well, as you know, the government has tried to maintain stability, has banned all political rallies, have tried to bring sanity in areas that probably had had a lot of mayhem. And in so doing, like I said early this morning, the railway line was vandalized, and perhaps goods have not been able to cross using the railway line. The government has tried to clear the roads to give security escort as they cross over to the neighboring countries. The government is committed, will remain committed to its citizens, and the government does not even segregate whoever voted for which side. We would like to see the country going back to normal. As you know, Kenya is a country that has really financed 94% of its budget. We were of the view that this year we should be able to probably finance much more than that.
Okay, Peter Kenneth, Assistant Finance Minister for the Kenyan government, thanks very much.